Good Vach Rabbi Sai. Ilui Nishmas Shabbos Parshas Korach. Or good morning, Rabbi Sai in Eretz Yisrael. Thank you very much for coming out. It's a very late hour, after 11:30 night Yishkoyach. So I just want to show you real quickly. Here's a kid. It gives me a lot of chizuk. The kid is in camp, and everybody else is doing sports, etc. Noach Santag, doing the daf with rebellion camp Aguda. I know there's other kids in camp Aguda that are doing the daf. So Yishkoyach doesn't want to miss a day. Thank you, Rebelli, for the chizuk. His father Eli sent it in. For this, Rabbi said this clip. This brought tears to my eyes, and I shared it with a few people on Erev Shabbos, and it brought tears to their eyes as well. I had the opportunity on Erev Shabbos to speak to the person speaking. Let me just give you a little bit of a background. And I'm showing this to it. Perhaps there's even one person, if it helps one person out there, but I'm sure it's going to help many people. This was at a Kesher Nafshi. You could see this is a talk that this individual, he's a chassid from Williamsburg, who gave a talk for over an hour about abuse. He was a victim of abuse when he was a child, and he discussed how he was able to get out of it. What are the symptoms? How do you fall into it? How does a kid get trapped into it? What it does to an adult later on in life, and how he climbed out of it. And during his speech, he speaks about how he fell into another post-trauma. Basically, a person that goes through trauma, even a death of a loved one, certain things trigger, like you could get over it eventually after a few years, but then all of a sudden somebody mentions that loved one and then you relive it. So he had a similar situation when that famous author, I don't want to mention his name, he was accused of all the stuff, and he felt that the G'daylim or whatever were protecting him. Whatever the case may be, he fell into a very, very strong depression. But the point is that there are people, many people get out of it. And here's another way I get out of it. So here it is. Let me share this with you.
For not noticing all these years I was suffering. And this is an aunt that I only met my Simchas. This show of support from my Aunt Sussy, this virtual hug, literally stopped me from falling very quickly again into the abyss. It was her show of support that gave me the courage to stop surviving and start thriving. A few hours later, one sister after another called me and reached out to me. I'm sorry, I apologize. We never knew. They all encouraged me to speak out. This support that I did not see coming made all the difference to my true survival. Truth be told, I still get triggered from time to time, and that's okay. Sometimes it lasts a few days, sometimes it lasts a few hours, but I learned how to get over it. A little over a year ago, you may remember, there was a story that broke of a very popular, one of the most popular authors and therapist in Bnei Brak who abused many, many victims. After that story broke, I crashed. I was very strong at that time, but I literally crashed. I fell into a very, very, very deep depression that lasted very, very long. Lasted for weeks on end. I couldn't get out of it. All the methods I learned and everything I tried, I could not get out of it. I feel I owe a curse a top. That's why I'm mentioning it publicly. By pure hashgacha prutis, I came across a promo video of a very dear friend of Kesher Nafshi, Rabbi Eli Stefansky's Daf Yomi shir. I can't explain why, because I haven't learned 30 years or more, didn't attend the shir, but for some reason I gave it a try. And one shir after another, after a couple of shirim, after a couple of days, I just turned back to myself. And it literally saved me. And not only me, my family. I'm looking into the camera. Reb Eli, I hope this is going to go to you. But I have to show my Akursa Tov publicly, and I need to thank you. Thank you for changing my life. And saving my family.
Bekitzer, there's ways out of it. There's another good reason to encourage people to join Torah, to learn Torah, because it is changing lives. And Yishkoich for pinning Tao, for sharing his story. I'm sure there are other people out there that can reach out to him or view his whole speech. It's this 10th Kesher Nafshi convention. So Yishkoich. Here, in this exact room that we're sitting in, this went viral a few days ago, Sparks of a Nation. It says over here, Rabbi Chaim Reichenbach delivering his Daf Yomi shir with a special guest in attendance, that's myself. And so, of course, the shir began with Rebelli's trademark. Here it is. So I spoke to him afterwards. He doesn't give a Daf Yomi shir. There's an Eon shir. Rabbi Chaim Reichenbach is a big Talmid Chacham. He's one of the biggest Bali Tzedakah here in the city. So, shkach for having me. We're going straight into the sponsors. The Koilo. It's a big schus. I'm not gonna turn the cameras to show, but the people in here might know. But finally, Mr. Anonymous from Lakewood, Rabbi Anonymous from Lakewood, who's donating the schus, the refuah of my mother-in-law, Shlams Esther Bas Bela, happens to be in the room here tonight. Don't turn around and look for him. You're not going to know who he is, Mr. Anonymous from Lakewood. But nobody else will know. The Koilel, I don't care that you don't want me to say. It's fine. The Koilel is sponsored Li Nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe, Li Nishmas B'tzal ben Moshe. The Masechta. My Moshe Banda, to thank Hashem, that I'm able to thank Him for everything that I have. Paras HaChodesh. Hashem should open up all the tzinorot of bracha. Let me bring this closer to me. It's hard for me to read without glasses. For Baruch Tzvi Nissim ben Shoshana Lea. You know what it is? It's late at night for me. It's already like the morning. So then the eyes get weaker and weaker. Paras HaChodesh, Jeff Rosner, Nishmas, his 17-year-old son, Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Shlomo Yehuda, Paras HaChodesh, Lakewood family, Lakewood New Jersey, because torah and achdus are the best segula. That's one of the things I spoke to Penny Tao for 39 minutes on Friday. And he was telling me that he thinks that the achdus of the shir is what got him out of it. He loves the achdus. There's other things, but the achdus was the big thing he kept on talking about. Tzvi Corlin, in memory of Faiga Chaya bas Yacov Chaim, all of Shlomo passed away, Shabbos Parshas Korach. Benchetrit, commemoration of the 11th yartzeit of Rabbi Yosef Oziel of Miami community, who passed away at the young age of 42, and it was very instrumental of Michael finishing Shas for the first time. And now, when Michael is learning Shas, he's doing it again. Lili Nishmasai, the art, the sponsor of complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Lea. Rabbi Oziel was starting a brand new Mishnah. Daf Amud Beis. It's a brand new sugya, and we have Agadata Gemara all the way until the next Mishnah, and then we start a sugya. But in true Gittin fashion, Gishmakis sugyas, mind-opening sugyas, very, very gewaldige stuff. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Eli Friedman, Lili Nishmas, his dear father, Chaim Ram Shalom Yerucham Ben Yisrael Dover Al Shalom. HaMoicher Esatzmai. So we're continuing with the theme of Tikkun Olam. There are certain things that Chacham instituted in order to preserve the world, that everything should run smoothly in this world. So here's another one. HaMoicher Esatzmai. A person deliberately sells himself, Vesbanav and his children, Lo'idi Gechavim, Tananju. Ein Poidim Maisai. So the Gemara is going to explain immediately. We're talking about a person that Shana B'Shilish. He did this for 3 times, or this is a 3rd time. And what's going on here? Every single time you're gonna make money, and then you're gonna depend on Chachamim and your community to redeem you. It's a pella that we do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. After 3 times, we don't do it anymore. Enough is enough. Tikkun Olam. But we do redeem the children after their father dies. As Rashi explains, that when the father is alive, then he could watch them, that they shouldn't be metamalei the gechavim. But once he dies, who's watching them? Who's guarding them? So then we redeem them. The Samsoiver asks, we're talking about a bad guy. We're talking about a guy who doesn't care. He puts himself in a situation by the Goyim So he's going to watch and guard his children? He says, Tzarchin Gadol. Says the Mishnah, says the Gemara, Omer Ravavi, Omer Ravasi. If I'm not reading well, tell me. Like we explained, we're talking about a person who's done this twice, 3 times. Says the Gemara, the people from Michsei, they borrowed money. This Rabbi Oziel is going to come as a big chiddush. They borrowed money from the guy, and they couldn't come up with a payment. So the non-Jews took them as slaves because they didn't pay their chay. Also the Kamei Ravuna. So now they tell the goyim, don't worry about it. We're going to go to the rabbi. Bring us to the rabbi. Here, drop us off by the rabbi. The rabbi's going to redeem us. So they bring, the limousine pulls up to the Rav's house, Ravuna. Out they come. Omar Lahu, I can't help you out. This not. He quotes this Mishnah. If you sell yourself to the guy, you in essence sold yourself to the guy. By borrowing money, not paying back, you sold yourself. What's the difference if you took money yesterday or you took money today? It's all the same. You took money from a guy and you have no way out of it, and he took you as a slave. I can't redeem you. But you taught us it's only after 3 times we don't redeem, but these guys are the first time. No, these people, it's not the first time that they're borrowing money like this. This is Shana V'Shilish. This is literally Shana V'Shilish. Al Gavro, listen to this crazy story. Al Gavro, the Zabin Nafshei Luludoi. This person was so desperate, he sold himself to cannibals. Cannibals. People that eat other human beings. You see? Oh, Rabbi Oziel, I have to stop. I completely that we do every Motzei Shabbos. We do a quick review of the Yisodis Hashas. So let's do it real quickly. Let's see how long it takes. We're at 13 over here. Let's try to do it quick. A lot of the Yisodis are very, very famous, and it's just we're doing Chazara. Some of them are not so famous. Karka, a tree, a plant, anything that's attached to the ground is halach of karka. Whatever the halachas of karka are. There's a concept of Shvuah Moed Miktsas. Most children know this concept, that if you admit a partial admission, we can invoke a Shvuah. Ein nishboim al karkais. This idea of Shvuah Moed Miktsas doesn't apply, let's say, to a karka. If I admit that I owe you half a karka, you don't make a Shvuah. There's a hekesh between an eved and a karka. Eved is like karka. Kinyan peirs ge kinyan guf. That's a sugya that we're going to delve into a lot today. And that is that if a person, let's say in nursing homes, people here in Chicago and even in Lakewood, very into the nursing homes, but a lot of times you lease a nursing home. The person that makes the profit off the nursing home but doesn't own the actual real estate, does he own the nursing home or does he not own the nursing home? Do we view peiros, the profits that come off the real estate, as the person that owns the real estate and it's negea to trumas and maasers and things like that? Mitzvah Asesha as Magrama, we all know. A certain mitzvah because it's time dependent. Mitzvah kind of Rameis. There's a special mitzvah to do what the person that's about to die asks for. If there's a sentence that a person says, we don't split the sentence and we don't say, well, half we'll listen to, half we won't. Is something that we spoke about a lot this week, is things, can you sell something that doesn't exist yet, like fruit on a tree, etc. We also spoke about moed b'knas, potter. If a person admits to a fine, to a knas, then he is potter from it since he admitted to it. The word oinai means shtar. That's not so famous. Nichsei tzoyin barzel, we spoke about, are possessions that a woman brings into a marriage that the husband guarantees, locks in the price of the marriage at the time of the marriage. It could go 30 years go by and the nursing home goes down in value, up in value. he gives her the price of the time of marriage. It's strong. It's like metal sheep. It's metal. Kinyan Agav is the kinyan when you purchase a field and there's movable items on the field. So when you buy the field, you also purchase all the movable metaltalin with a kinyan Agav. Sfek is a double suffix. And here, finally, we're up to the Tvach. This cartoon just says, have you recently eaten anything containing lactose, gluten, and peanuts? As they're boiling up this guy about to eat him, these cannibals. The truth is that even today, that there are cannibals out there somewhere in Africa and different places. And there's I once read, I don't know if it's true, that there's a very unique disease that goes only for cannibals, something because they eat the brain and the brain contains certain bacteria or whatever, cause them to laugh a lot. Some sugar I once read. Okay. What's that?
The trigger that reminded you to do this was that cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. The trigger. Exactly. That's how I remember. I said, okay, I got to go to the cartoon. I hit the cartoon. Oops, there's a whole list of things that we have to do. How long did that take us? 3-4 minutes. Okay, not bad. Shtickle overview and chazor of the week. Not everything, obviously, but... So, says the Gemara like this. It's just interesting if you think about it. What's a bigger isser? To eat or a human being? Probably unwashed strawberry that has some sort of bug, because the bug is 5 Yisurim, and a human being maybe is the Rabbanon. It could be it's an assay, but not everybody agrees that it's an assay. So it's machlokes, but at most it's one isser. Just saying, like people, you're sure you're going to eat a human being? A lot of people eat strawberries without washing them and whatever. Okay. I'm ruining it. I'm ruining the Toyamel, I'm ruining this. I thought about it on Shabbos, because I said yesterday, if I were to find out that I was a guy, what Aver would I do, right? So everybody's just for the shtick. I said, I would learn during Chazar Shatz. And I realized I should have said, I would eat Toyamel. I eat Toyamel once, and then I'll go into Shabbos. Okay. So this guy sells himself to the cannibals. Mom, here, give me money, you could eat me. Also, I made the Rabami, Omar Lei, Pirkon, get me out of here. So I guess he had in mind, he's going to make all his money, give it to his family, then go to the Chachamim and try to get out of it. Omar Lei Tnan, we learned in the Mishnah, if you sell yourself, we don't redeem. After the guy dies, you're supposed to redeem him. Why? As Rashi explained, I said before, Rashi explains it over here, because the father is guarding the kids when he's alive, but he's not alive anymore, so we got to get them out of there. The certainly we have to redeem you, because they're going to eat you. Wait a minute, you can't redeem him. You know why? Because he went off the derech. We saw that he eats nevelos, he eats McDonald's. Well, there's a difference. Why is this guy off the derech? It's a very big nafkamina to us also. Is a guy off the derech because he's about taiva, or because he does it lahachis? So, when it comes to lahachis, the famous story of Hanoch Teller, he says that there was a couple in Eretz Yisrael who were very upset about the whole situation on Yom Kippur in Eretz Yisrael. Everybody, it's one day that there's kemat, no cars driving, and even the non-from, they ride their bikes on the streets, famous, down the highways. They were very upset about it. They wanted to have a Gesundheit Yom Kippur where they could eat, and nobody will make a big deal. So they flew out to Greece or something. They came a few days early, and then when Yom Kippur came, they started fressing away like crazy. They're eating lobster and this and that, all the treifas. And because they ate some of this seafood, they got really, really sick. But they said the next day, they were so sick, but they had to eat. They came all the way there to eat, so they're not going to eat. So they ate and ate. And Motzei Yom Kippur, they called up their children, knew, how's Yom Kippur doing? So they said, it's not Yom Kippur, it's Erev Yom Kippur. They're like, oops, wow. And then they ended up in the hospital the next day because they had this serious illness, and they they had a true Yom Kippur where they fasted against their will. Okay, Ein Sham and Rabbi Chanoch tell her. Fine. So this guy makes a big enough kamina. If he's eating the velas l'tiyavan, you should save it. If you're eating l'isur, you shouldn't save it. Now it happens to be that Shulchan Aruch Paskin is not like this Gemara. He says, this Gemara, no, it's not a shayla. That if you have a mummer, a guy in the neighborhood that goes off the derech and eats treif, even if it's l'tiyavan, he says you don't save him. You hear this? A guy off the derech, this is shayla if you're allowed to save him or you're not allowed to save him. The Vilna Gaon and others argue the Shulchan Aruch. They say no, there's enough kamina l'tiyavan. You could save. We're talking about a guy that does it lahachas, mamish lahachas. Orlei zil l'kavshili. Sorry. So they asked him, how do you know why this guy ate? Maybe he ate l'tiyavan. No, sometimes you have good kosher meat, Romanian meat in front of him, and you have some shvacha treif meat, and he chooses to eat the treif. Lahachas, the psera kodesh baruch hu. If so, Amalei zil, I can't save you. I can't save you. Says Gemara, unbelievable story. Rish Lakish zabin nafshei l'ludoy. Taisa says this must be before it became the big famous Rish Lakish, but he sold himself to the cannibals. He took along a sack with a lead ball. I just have to see if this was plugged in correctly because it doesn't look like it was. No, it wasn't. You hear what he took? He took a weapon with himself. I don't know what it's called. I'm sure like some Chinese weapon. It's like a lead ball in a sack. So you give a guy a good knock in the head and can knock him out. Says the Gemara, Omar, Gemiri, they have a minhag. The Yom Basra, we have it also today. It's called the last meal. The Yom Basra, the last day of the life, called the Bay Minayu Avdalai. The last request. In those days, the last request. Explains Rashi that there should be a mechila. Should be mechilas. Now I'm reading this and I can't believe it. Think about it. Is there anything worse than a cannibal? He's a reitzeach. Not only does he kill, but he eats the victim. I can't think of a worse thing in this world. Yet this Rosh Merusha cannibal, in his mind, in his twisted mind, he's getting a mechila and a kapara from the guy because he gave him his last meal. That's why he does it. He does it that he should have a forgiveness. That he should feel, his conscience should feel good. I'm saying it's a musar haskell. A lot of times people do averis and they read zachayin. Oh, if I give a little tzedakah, I stole $10 million. But if I give a little donation to the shul, it's going to be a mechila. No, it's not a mechila. There's no mechila for eating a person, killing a person. But that's what they thought in their mind. Another pshat is, it's even worse. They didn't want a mechila. All they wanted is, Leichel Admei, the Aruch learns, they wanted that the blood should taste good. Okay. Said this a few times, it's not even so funny, but Motzei Shabbos, why not? There was a Russian who, they were about to execute him, and they said, we'll give you 3 wishes. What do you want? He says, I would like to have some watermelon. So watermelon, it's in the middle of the winter, there's no water. So I'm willing to wait. So he waits for the summer. It's summer, he gives him some watermelon. No, and now what's your wish? He says, I want to have a snowball fight. Snowball fight, it's the middle of the summer. I'm willing to wait. Okay, fine. So they wait. Comes the winter, the snowball fight. No, and now what? He says, I want to cry at Putin's funeral. But he's alive. I'm willing to wait. Shut. Zog the Gemara. Yoim Basra. Comes the last day. No, what's your wish? I think these cannibals, they lack a little bit in IQ because they were willing to go along with this. He says, listen, I want to tie you up and sit you down. I want to hit each one of you 1.5 times. 1.5. Now, they didn't know he has a lead ball. They thought, okay, a smack in the face. No, we need the mechila. So he tied them up and sat them down. Kamachyo chadchayta nofak nishmasei. Simple pshat, not I don't know. I saw other pshatim, but just reading it. One zetz, they died on the spot. Charkina l'shinei. There's one of them that like clenched his teeth. Omalei achuchi kamechayches bi. Well, you're smiling at me. Akadi poshloch ligabi palgadachayt. I still owe you. You have by me a chayv. I still owe you a half a zetz. What are you smiling at me after one zetz? Basically, Katlinu Kulu, he killed them all. Novak Vasa. It seems like Rish Lakish wanted to get rid of the cannibals, so he just inserted himself in there, and with his chachma, he was able to kill them out. Says the Gemara, Yosef ka'achel v'shasi. The simple pshat is, Rish Lakish never earned more money than was necessary for him to buy a little food. That's it. He only earned enough to eat. Yosef ka'achel v'shasi. His daughter said, you don't need something to sleep on, you don't need a mattress. What about a mattress? Crazy curry. My stomach, he had a nice stomach. My stomach is my pillow. It's a shaila exactly, because you're not allowed to lay on your stomach. What exactly do you mean? When Rish Lakish was nifter, Shavak covered the Marika. He left over 1 kav of saffron, which is nothing in the time of the Gemara. It happens to be, this is the most expensive food today. It's over $10,000 a pound. But at the time of the Gemara, it was nothing. And the Gemara is saying he barely left anything over. He left one little thing of saffron. Says the Yacov Chaim. The pshat is that Rish Lakish was upset. Why in the world did I leave over $10 worth of food? That $10 that I earned, I could have been spending it learning torah. What did I do? I left over to somebody else. I'm working on it. It's a pellet. It's something again that we have to not just read and go weiter, internalize. Saying, what's the point of working so hard? And what do we do with all that money? We leave it over to the next generation. Let them work. Why are we so worried about the next generation? Worry about yourself. Worry about your olam haba. Are you earning olam haba? You're not earning. No, but I have to make more parnasa. For what? So that the next generation should have money. Don't worry about them. They'll have plenty. You worry about your olam haba. So there's a few things here. In the Takaras HaShavin, he says that Rish Lakish was trying to get a kapara, and that's why he did this. The Chassam Sofer learns a different pshat here. He says that a person should not sit b'tainus. Rish Lakish, what he was doing is, he was learning Torah. That's what it says here. That Yosef ka'achel v'shasi, he sat and he ate and he drank, meaning he was eating up Torah. And his daughter said to him, What about to sleep? He said, don't worry about it. I don't need anything. I have my stomach, meaning my Torah that I ate. That's all I need. That's what I'm going to bring to Olam HaEmes. In fact, it's very interesting that the Arizal says that a person who knows how to learn Torah shouldn't fast and do sigufim. Sigufim is for simple people that don't know how to learn. But if you know how to learn, and the sigufim take away, the tanesim take away from your learning, it's not, then you shouldn't do it. The biggest kapara is learning Torah. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Yoeli Friedman, Ilui Nishmas, his dear father, Chaim Avram Shalom, Yeruchim Ben Yisrael Dog. We're going into another sugya now. Okay, so we had a lot of fun with this agata. Now it's a sugya. Again, continuing with Tikkun Ha'olam. We're trying to correct the world. Wow, 56 people on the live stream here. Givaldik, Shalom Aleichem, Agud Davach, or good morning in Eretz Yisrael. Hamoicher Sadei Loivik Yechav. There's an Isser here. I forgot to show you this pasuk, but the pasuk by Rish Lakish. I wanted to point that out. The Gemara doesn't bring that part. In other words, ksil, the fool leaves his Yerusha to others. The next pasuk over here. We're very familiar with this pasuk. We spoke about it the other day. Lois Chanim in this context means, we always know the pasuk that you shouldn't give gifts to a guy, Lois Chanim, but it means that you shouldn't allow them a chaniah. They shouldn't be able to dwell in Eretz Yisrael. There's an issur d'oraisa to sell real estate to a non-Jew in Eretz Yisrael. You went ahead and you sold it. Says the Mishnah that if you sell your field to a Avid Gechavim, Yoshi did a drawing for it, so I want to show it to you. It's somewhat of an animation of Bikurim. Bikurim is the first fruit that comes out from your tree. You take a red string, you tie it, you remember this is the first fruit. Later on, when it grows, you bring it to Yerushalayim. Now, let me ask Noam a question. If you know the answer, raise your hand. Don't even say the answer. I'm curious to know. How much Bikurim should one bring? You know the answer? Anybody else know the answer? It's usually the kids. The adults don't know the answer? Huh? Oh! I said don't answer. Okay, you want to fight. Right. No, the reason why I'm saying, because a lot of times we say things, we say every single day, and it doesn't really, we don't connect the words that we say to like reality. These are things that don't have a shear. Bikurim doesn't have a shear. You can bring 100 fruit, you can bring one. Okay, just shkoyach. At least one adult knew it. Givaldi. So you sold your field to a guy. Now every single year, from that point on, every year, not just one time, every year you go and you purchase the bikurim off of the guy. We're going to make you crazy so that you don't sell your field to a guy, and if you do, you're going to go and purchase it back from him. We don't want you selling fields and trees to guy. So we have a machlokes here. Rabbi holds that when a non-Jew purchases land in Eretz Yisrael, the chiyuv of Maaser remains. So since we have somebody new to the shir, I want to show you, because one of my pet peeves is Trumas and Maaseris and Tumen Tahara. I believe that they're easier sugis than people tend to believe. And we did it in an animation now that even small children understand it easy, and it's mamish very easy to remember and understand. And when the sugya talks about Trumas and Maaseris, we don't go all crazy. Oh, Truma Maaser, Tumen Tahara. So here it goes. Here's the animation. It's all in one shot. So here's Trumas and Maaseris. Truma is what you give to the Kayan. Maaser is what you give to Levi. We could speed it up a little bit actually, but okay. A farmer has 102 fruit, 102 because we don't want to do 100. He takes 2% and gives the 2% to the Kayan. That's called Truma, the blue Truma. Now he has 100 left, so he takes 10% of that, which is 10, and he gives that to the Levi. Great. Now the Levi has 10%. The Levi has to take 10% of what he got, which is 1, and give that to the Kayan, and that's called Trumas Maaser. That's the hard one, Trumas Maaser. Okay. Now, I don't know if we have to go through the whole thing. Maaser Sheni is, in the Shemitah cycle, years 1, 2, 4, 5, we give Maaser Sheni. Years 3 and 6, we give Maaser Ani. So now he has 9 fruit, which is 10%, and he gives it to himself. He can redeem it into money and bring the money to Yerushalayim and buy with that produce, food, whatever he wants. He needs himself. Maaser Ani, he takes the 10% and gives it to Anani. Years 3 and 6, he gives it to Anani. Okay. No, not bad. So Be'ezer Hashem, all of Shas, we're going to have animated in 3D, even better stuff like this, one day at a Shas near you. Okay, so if a guy purchases a piece of property and you buy fruit off the guy, you're still mechuyev to take Trumas and Maasers. The guy doesn't have the right to be mafkia, to uproot the chiyuv of Truma and Maaser. Even though a guy cannot purchase an Eretz Yisrael a hafkia and try to uproot midei Maaser. Shenemar kili haaretz, HaKadosh Baruch Hu owned the land, which is really going on everything, on all land, not only Eretz Yisrael. Lig dushas haaretz, havayeshkin loy v'kechavim Eretz Yisrael, lachbar bo boirois shichen u'ma'orois. Bor is a well, shiach is a elongated, not a canal, it's like elongated depression in the earth which is full of water. And Mara is some sort of cave that holds whatever it holds. So if a guy creates a cave, creates a bar, a guy cannot do that. A guy could over here, says the Gemara. If he purchases land so that it's still Chayav Maaser, but he could ruin it, he could dig, he could put beams in the ground, whatever he wants, pour cement in the ground, make a foundation. The earth he gave to humans. Rabbi Oziel says the exact opposite. Rabbi Oziel holds that a guy who purchases land, there is no Maaser on his property. Aval ein kinyan lo ovid kechavim Eretz Yisrael lachbar boros shichun u'maris. A guy does not have the right to make wells and certain different depressions in the ground. Shenemar Hashem haaretz. But my komifligi, they're using the same psukim and they're saying the reverse. So where is the machlokes exactly? It says Gemara Maaser the Goncha v'leidogan ovid kechavim. They both argue. How do you read the word the Goncha? Do you read it simply the way it's written, the Goncha? And therefore, it means the grain of the Jew is chayav b'maaser, v'loy dogan of yichavim, but not that of a guy. Or marsavar digunecha, v'loy digun of yichavim. Digunecha means, so here's another yisoid in Shas. It's called miruach. Miruach means when a person has a pile. This is just old art. Obviously, if Yoshi did it, it would look a lot nicer. If you have a pile of grain, you are not chayiv in Maaser until you level it out, you smear it down, you do miruach, what's the proper word for miruach? You smooth it down, thank you. Smooth it down. Only at that point are you chayiv in Maaser. So this man Domer holds that it's dependent on who smooths it out. If the Jew smooths it out, the grain, even though it grew and it was purchased from a non-Jew, it's chayiv in Maaser. Because it says digunecha. Or you learn the guncha, literally your grain and not the non-Jew's grain. Omar Rabba, so Rabba was of the opinion that a goy is not mafkia, a goy cannot uproot Eretz Yisrael, and when a goy purchases your chayiv in Truma Maaser, how do I know it? It's not. I like it. So let's do this real quickly. Leket is when the farmer drops produce on the ground, broken bones. Shikha is when he drops a whole, or he leaves a whole bundle. And Peya is there's one part of the field. How much, Rabbi Oziel, do you leave? Oh, how much? Elam shir. We're learning things tonight. Elam shir. So that's the corner, the payas of the thing. Okay. Zog the Gemara. So it says in the Mishnah, if a guy leaves over the stars, it's the matan of the ani, it's chayav b'maaser. Unless he said it's hefker. Says Gemara Hechidami. The Yisrael grew it, and the guy went and he gathered it. So it just reminded me, it's not exactly the same thing, but in Ramah Bet Shemesh, it's every single Wednesday, I go through the same emotions watching this over and over. Truck comes with thousands of pounds worth of fruits and vegetables, dumps it in the parking lot that's directly by my porch, and the frum people come and they they take as many fruit as they want. And there's a guy that's standing, you give him a shekel or two, and you're good. But what you see is a lot of the cleaning ladies come, and they buy also. And it's like, I guess they're uncomfortable to tell them, hey, this is for the poor of the neighborhood. You don't see wealthy people going there and taking free fruit. Everybody understands that this is a donation by, I think it's Osherad, the famous Osherad, big store, every Wednesday, beautiful fruit, good condition, all sorts of stuff. But the cleaning ladies, the non-Jews, they come and they don't chap. Maybe they don't chap. So they come, they pay. It's unbelievable. For a shekel, you buy 2 bags of whatever. So that's what happens over here. That this Lakewood and Shikha and the Ovid Gechavim, they see the Jews collecting, so we'll also collect. Nobody told them it's not for you. LMK and Hefker. So why does the guy have to make it Hefker? Homafker v'kaimi. If the Jew is the one that left his Lakewood, Shikha, and pay over there, what is that? That is Hefker. Nobody has to make it into Hefker in order for somebody to take it. Elalav, David Gechavim. What happened was the non-Jew decided to be a nice guy and leave some stuff on the side of the field and things that he forgot for the poor people. And then a Jewish poor person came and grabbed it, and it says time of the hifker. He has to be mafker. The guy has to be mafker. So what do you see? That if the guy is not mafker, you're chayiv and Maaser. So that's what Rabbah says. That the guy doesn't have the right to be mafkia from Maaser. In other words, when you purchase something from a guy, when a guy purchases land in Eretz Yisrael, it's chayiv and Maaser. Unless the guy is mafkir, then it's not. But otherwise, it's chayiv and Maaser. That's Shittas Rabbah. That no matter what, a guy's fruit is chayiv and Maaser. Loi in Yisrael, no, you can say that that's not the pshat. The pshat is that the Jew was the one that owned the field. The guy was the one that gathered it. You asked me a question, you've been diking the words, but it's already hefker. Says Gemara, no, need the mafker adat Yisrael. Adat the Chavim mafkeri. When the Jew says my fruit that I dropped, the grain that I dropped on the floor is hefker, but not for the non-Jew to take it. He never had that in mind. He only had in mind that the Yid that's needy, he could take it. That's a different kind of hefker. Toshma, have a raya. Whether or not, when a goy purchases land, it still remains Jewish land and it's chayiv and Maaser. Rabbi Chaim asked the Shasidin, I was zeicha to be one of the boichlim Shasidin, and Baruch Hashem gave me a tremendous busha when they wrote Hagoy, whatever. We're not going to go there, but Baruch Hashem every day there's new bushas. Rabbi Chaim asked these people, you're not going to believe it. He asked them, where in Masechtas Gittin does it say Shema Yisrael? And they all answered, Daf Nun Zayin. And they were right. And he says, I knew you're going to say that. But there's one more place in Masechtas Gittin, and the guys came up with this right over here. Toshma Yisrael Shalokach Soda. You have to be a genius to know that one. Shema Yisrael Shalokach Soda Ma'vikechah. If a Jew purchases a field from a non-Jew. So the breaking point is a third. When fruit grows a third, then it's considered fruit. But if he purchased it before it brought a third, it grew to a third while it was in the possession of the Jew, and then he sold it back to the non-Jew. So what happened there? He bought a field without fruit. And then he sold a field with fruit to a guy. In other words, it went past the third, so it's fruit, and he sold it to a guy. What's the halacha? Chayev is b'maiser. So anybody here in this room can make the simple deal. You're chayev and maiser because it grew in the Jew's possession, and then he sold it to a guy. But what if it grew completely in the non-Jew's possession? It would be potter for maiser. So what do you see? That a guy is mafkia. That a guy has the ability to get rid of the maiser. Shikvan is chayiv. There's chayiv in, lo is chayiv aloi. So this is a shtigel tchak. But we're talking about Syria. We're not talking about Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, the guy's produce is not chayiv b'maiser. Because of kibush yachad lo yishmei kibush. That David HaMelech is the one that conquered Syria, but he didn't do it at all of Klal Yisrael, part of Klal Yisrael. So it's considered captured city or country of an individual, not of all of Klal Yisrael, and therefore there's no chi of a Maaser. The whole chi of a Maaser in Syria is only the Rabbanan, and certainly a guy is not chai of a Maaser. So that's why we're talking about fruit that's not chai of a Maaser from a guy. Tashma, another pshat, another thing. Yisrael if a wow, it's already 12:20. We gotta move. If a guy and a Jew bought a field in a partnership, each and every grain Rabbi Yisai has 50% guy in it, 50% Jew in it. 50% is chayiv and Maaser, 50% is patur and Maaser. Says Rashi, you can't take Maaser from something that's patur on something that's chayiv. You can't take something that's chayiv and do trumas and Maaser on something that's patur. So you have a major problem here. How do you take trumas and Maaser on this? The only eitzah is to take from this exact type of fruit something that each grain has 50% chayiv and Maaser because it's owned by a Jew, and 50% that's patur for Maaser because it's owned by a guy, and do trumas and Maasers on that same type of fruit. Divrei Rebbe, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, Shalei Kechavim, Patur, Sheisrael Chayiv. You make a split. This half of the fruit goes to the guy, this half of the fruit goes to the Jew, and this is Chayiv in Maaser, and this is Patur in Maaser. Akan Loi Pligi, Elo, the Marsav Yesh Breiru, Marsav Ein Breiru. So Baruch Hashem, we're not scared of this word anymore. We're very familiar with this Breiru, retroactive clarification, or that Maaser that I told you about, retroactive trauma clarification. Either way, when we split the fruit and we go, your 50 is the Jews, this 50 is the guys, this 50 of the Jews, Chayav Maaser, this 50 of the Jew, non-Jew is Patur. There was a retroactive clarification that this is what they own together. Not that it was Chayav 50-50 and then we gave it to the Jew. No, this 50% was 100% the Jews all along, because retroactively we clarify that's what happened. So that's the machlokes here. Do we say breiru or do we not say breiru? But the bottom line is that we see from this whole sugya that if it was owned by the guy, he is patur from Maaser, meaning that the guy has the ability to do away with Maaser. AB, it's only 12:20 in the morning. Why are you falling asleep? Oh, we got a sponsor, Amud Beis sponsored by Mordechai Sapaznik and my schos, and also by Tillam.8minutedaf.com. So the Gemara. Oh, so what's the answer? We're talking about in Syria where the guy is not chayiv Maaser. Because of our kibush yachid, leishmei kibush. Since the Ramel did himself with this part of Klal Yisrael, it's not considered a real capture. It's not a next to. It's not part of Eretz Yisrael. Omar Rechia Barov and Toshma. So our Mishnah, if you sell a field to a guy, so it says that you lekech or maybe bikurim b'pnei tikun ha'olam. Here's a little tiny bulb, and as it grows, he realizes that it's a fruit. So he goes ahead and he puts a gemi, a red string, and as it grows more and more and more, then he will remove it, and he puts it in a basket with all the other fruit, the first fruits, and then he brings it up to Yerushalayim. Okay. In, it seems like it's only a tikkun olam. The only reason why you have to bring this bikurim is to save the world, so that people don't sell their fields to goyim. But it's not a deraisa. So there's a very important Rashi here. I thought it was a beautiful Rashi. Rashi dibra masking with the right saloy. You see, like 1/3 down. VA. Let's see if I can read it. Oh, here we have this phone. VA kiyin loyed gechavim lafkia b'gdushasa. Harilolin gdushasa b'shus Yisrael kilo mishkina. It's as if he just made a mashkin. Okay, I want this part right here. The keep in the Bikurim mitzvah the Rami Alehi. Says Rashi, there's a big enough community in Bikurim and Maaser. It's a beautiful Rashi. The mitzvah Bikurim is on the Gavra, as they say, not on the Chefza. Bikurim is a mitzvah that's on the human being, on the Jew. So whether you're going to eat the fruit, whether you're not going to eat the fruit, I don't care what you're going to do with the fruit. You can take all the fruit and destroy it. You have a mitzvah to take the Bikurim to Yerushalayim. It's not that if you don't take bikurim, there's going to be tevel and it's also to eat the fruit. You to take. Maaser, says Rashi. It's not like Maaser. Even if you cannot sell a field to a guy, you're not mechuyev to go after you sell it and take your own Maaser on his fruit. It's only if you want to eat the fruit, then you have to take Maaser, says Rashi. Whereas bikurim, it doesn't matter if you're eating the fruit, you have to take bikurim. Because why? The Maaser tov of asur ba'achila, it's on the fruit. This is on the chefts, on the fruit. We'll have mitzvah the rami alei. It's not a mitzvah on the human being, on the gabra. Okay, where he benefits from it. Says the Gemara. No, let me explain to you. There's actually two takonos. In other words, the Gemara is going to say that be'etzem it's a deraisa. This bikurim business that you have to take bikurim is a deraisa. But there's two takonos. You have to understand the history. In the beginning, they brought bikurim deraisa. Given the chazat to call mikra mizabnei, but people saw, hey, I'm taking bikurim, meaning there's still gedusha on the field. I didn't do anything by selling to the guy. I didn't ruin the field. It's still kaddish. Look, I'm still taking bikurim. So they went ahead and they kept on selling fields. The so Chacham said, don't bring bikurim. So the Takanas Chacham was not to bring bikurim and to show that, hey, you ruined this field, you ruined this tree by selling to the guy. Give the chazan the mandali sagale. Who can? Those who can't afford it, don't have money. They kept on buying. They kept on selling their fields because they didn't have money to the guy. So says the Gemara, Rabbanan just brought back the original. What's the original? That's a chi of the Eraisa to bring bikurim. Not that it's the Rabbanan. You're asking, it's a tikkun oilam? No, it's a Eraisa, but the tikkun oilam brought back the Eraisa because at one point Rabbanan said, don't bring bikurim. So the tikkun oilam is, do bring bikurim so that you don't sell your field to a guy. Itman. This is a beautiful shaila. This is what we're going into, and this is what I was telling you before. Kinyan Paris ke kinyan aguf. It's a sugya. Meaning, if I own a nursing home and I lease it out to somebody else, and that person makes all the profits, but I own the real estate, who is the real owner? The guy that on paper owns the real estate, or the guy that's breaking it in? He has a nursing home. He's making a fortune off this nursing home. He doesn't own the property. He doesn't own real estate, but he has the rights to all the profits. So, Itmar, Hamoicher Sadeu Lepeira is a person sells his field only for the profits, for the fruit. Rabbi Yochanan Omer, Omar, Mevi V'Koira, Rish Lakish, Omar, Mevi V'Einei Koira. So, here's the pasuk. V'ata hinei hivesis reishis pri adama asher nosati li Hashem. There's psukim that a person says when he brings the bikurim up to Yerushalayim. And what does it say in the pasuk? Asher nosata li Hashem. You gave me this land so I could benefit, and I'm appreciative of all that you gave me. But did Hashem give him the field? He didn't give him the field. He gave the field to Ruvain, who leased it to Shimon. Shimon is just using it to make fruit. So could he say these psukim? Well, it depends. If you have all the fruit, is it considered that you own the land? And if you own the land, then you could say Hashem Nesat Li Hashem. If you lease a nursing home, you could say Hashem Nesat Li Hashem. You gave me a nursing home because I leased it. Or no. Maybe v'koirei, why? Kinyan Peiro is kinyan aguf dami. The person that leases the fruit, it's as if he owns the actual property. No, you don't get to read. Why? Because you don't own the land. All you own is fruit. He asked the question, it says in the pasuk, you should be happy and joyful with all the good that Hashem does. Into your house. We know, what is a bias? Baisi is a wife. The Torah is teaching us that a person he brings his wife's fruit, and he says the psukim. Now, the Rishonim asked the question, how does a husband have the wife's fruit? is that Takonas Chachamim, that a husband should benefit from his wife's fruit. Why? Because if she becomes captured, you have to take her out, so you get the fruit. So it doesn't make any sense. What the Torah is telling us, that if there's a Takonas Chachamim, that you get the fruit, then you should say the psukim. So Tosfos over here on the spot says, no, because the Torah knew that that's the typical thing. Even before the Takonas Chachamim, wives used to let their husbands have the fruit. She brings a field into the marriage, the husband's going to use the fruit. Okay. So now the Torah says, listen, the husband should be saying the psukim. But what do you say? What do you see? You see that even though you don't own it, the wife owns it, you still say the psukim. Says the Gemara, you see it says, mefurish in the Torah and your wife's stuff. But typically, if you lease it off somebody else, you don't say the psukim. Oh, it's a special pasuk by a wife. And some say it differently. It was Rish Lakish who brought a raya to Rabbi Yosef. It says by bikurim, and you should say the psukim for your wife. Maybe bikurim Hasam, and this Rish Lakish is saying it's dafka by Yuleveisecha, dafka by bikurim, where the Torah says specifically in this particular case, when you kind of like lease the land off your wife, you should say the psukim. But just the regular guy leasing, and he only gets payroys, he shouldn't be saying the psukim. Says Rabbi Yochanan, but once the Torah says it by bikurim, that if you have rights to the fruit, you say the psukim. So too everywhere else, if you have rights to the fruit and not to the real estate, you say the psukim. Okay, Rish Lakish says the Torah is saying it only here and nowhere else. And Rish Lakish says no. From here I learned the whole Torah. One more right here. A person is on the way and he has his wife's bikurim. He hears the terrible news that his wife died. What happens on that spot when he hears it? He inherits her. Nobody else. So he inherits her. So he just became the balabas on the field. Now there's no even Shiloh. But when he left, he didn't own the field. So it says, maybe v'koyer. He should, in this particular case, it seems like only in this case, he should say the psukim. Says Gemara, I'll be medayik, meisa in, le meisa loy. It's only because he owns the field now that he says the bikurim. He says the psukim. Says Gemara, no, not a good right. Even though she didn't die. But I need to tell you the case where she died, and he still says the psukim. Why? There's a special gzeir. The what? A guy has grapes. He harvests the grapes, and he sends the grapes up to Yerushalayim with the shliach. And let's say the guy is going from Bet Shemesh all the way to Yerushalayim, and he dies by Telstone. Halfway to the Yerushalayim, he dies. Comes the balabas, he hears that he died, he runs, he takes his car, zooms up the highway, meets the dead shliach by Telstone, and he has his fruit. Maybe the owner does not say psukim. Interesting chiddush. You hear? Typically, the owner says psukim. Now he doesn't. Why? You have to be the one bringing it, and you didn't bring it up to Telstone. You brought it from Telstone to Yerushalayim, and not from Bet Shemesh to Telstone. You went halfway. So Mela, I would think that people will get confused in this case also. Where the husband, he didn't own the field. He owned just the rights to the fruit. And he started going to Yerushalayim, and then he heard news that his wife died. So maybe it should be similar. It should be geyser. It's similar to this case. Kamash will know that even in this case, the husband does say the psukim, Rabbi Oziel, have a wonderful day. Yishkayah for coming out all the way to 12:35. Unbelievable. Chazak v'yamatz.